Hi friends, I'm Prairie Vintage. If you were drawn to the title of this video, then this message might be for you. I was channeling a message and I don't know if it's related to this collective reading that I'm about to do, or if it's a specific, or if it is a specific message for somebody here. There is a divine masculine and a divine feminine, and they're both sort of speaking two different languages in regards to energy. The divine masculine is well-intending, wanting the divine feminine to soften. And she, the divine feminine, and I'm saying she, but it doesn't have to be female gender so much as it is the divine feminine energy, is threatened by this divine masculine, who she feels the way that he is wanting her to soften is something else, or is the threat for her. So I don't know what he's doing, but I think he's going about it in a way that doesn't jive with her way. Okay, so I'm not saying that either of them are doing anything wrong, but they're not understanding each other. And I think if she knew what his intention was, she would engage differently. And if he knew that his tactic, but it's not really a strategic sort of maneuvering so much as it is his tactic, his way of handling this divine feminine wasn't getting the results that he really intended for this connection, then he wouldn't do what he's doing. So I know that sounds like a mouthful, and I don't know if this collective is around that, but that's very specific here, because I think there's a disharmony between a masculine and a feminine that could be avoided. So we'll ask Spirit for this collective message. What is coming through for the collective in regards to find balance? Now, it was wanting to come in reverse, but I'm not going to take reversals in this deck, but we will channel energy here. So there could definitely be a need for finding a balance. Dreams come true. Okay, so I'm feeling some Sagittarius energy, quite strong here. Okay, darkest fears. Love abounds. And helpless and hopeless. Exactly the energy. There's like both masculine and feminine. It is coming through in this energy. So I guess this is what the channel is. Okay, this is a love reading. If you're not having any sort of disconnect right now, then this might not be a reading, or it could be what's energetically around you, a disconnect between a masculine and a feminine, and it's all stemmed from fears on both sides. Both sides are having to face their deepest, darkest fears, which is their seeing in the other a threat. So she sees a threat in how the masculine is engaged. He sees her not softening as a threat. So both of them are sort of seeing the worst fears come true in the other, but it's an illusion of sorts. There's just a lot of fear here, but it's creating this feeling of helplessness and hopelessness. Like, does this person, like, is it over? Is the joy over? Is there an ability for us to have the future that I wanted, that I envisioned? Because I feel both parties envisioned the future. I'm feeling star and sun energy here. So star is healing. Star is all about having a vision and a hope and a dream for what it is that we want to align ourselves with. And so the balance is the temperance. It's like, how do both sides come together to work together here? This is how I'm reading this. Find balance is really a temperance sort of energy. And so I need to temper our own selves. And I feel like if both parties weren't under the illusion of the moon, and if their fears weren't talking to them, mirroring back to them what they think is happening in the 3D, then they wouldn't be stuck in this sort of energy. So I think this is about preventing ourselves from feeling discouraged and from feeling helpless and hopeless. and losing sight of maybe the potential here or the vision of this connection. And so we could feel dysregulated very easily here, okay? But there is love, movement, and then the more Aquarius with the star, but the snake foot, okay, in the hand. So snakes are all about healing, wisdom. Stars are about healing. The snake's about healing. This is movement. The hands are about doing. And same with the foot, like taking action, accountability, responsibility. Okay, freedom. Movement, freedom. So do we feel very limited and restricted by what's going on? Make. Again, this, look at the star energy again, very heavy Aquarius here. Make. So something about doing with all these hands, maybe repeat tries at making something better, at healing and repairing a connection here. At least we see 3 here, and then this wand. Okay, dreams coming true. That's the wand. Like the magic wand would make a dream come true. Would make a dream come true. Okay, so what is this, Spirit, for the collective? Clear and concise message for the collective regarding this message. Support. So he wants her to soften, because I feel like there's something about... Okay, yeah, this was also coming through, and I didn't mention it. It was like the energy of him, why he was sort of wanting her to soften, because I feel like she provides comfort in her energy to him that is required for his healing and his ability to be more, for him to be able to like take action the way she would want him to take action. Like, she has a vision and an understanding of what he needs to be or do or say or how he needs to be. Okay, and it might seem as though he's not doing, being, and saying what she's wanting, and so she's threatened by this, thinking that he is choosing to do something against her or the connection. Okay, and maybe she's thinking, oh, he just wants to, I don't know, like be independent of this connection, do his own thing. He feels limited or restricted here. Okay, look at the heart on top of the heart. And he is wanting her to support his understanding of how he's thinking or engaging in this connection in a way that he's only knows how. Like, he's only able and capable to work within the confines of his tools. He doesn't know any other tool. Okay, so clearly he's healing here. And I feel like he understands his engagement or his requests in certain way. And his mind is one understanding. Like, he doesn't understand why she doesn't see this as him showing up in some way, you know, but it definitely is. She's seeing it as falling short. And so she feels like it's just her having to give of her energy, or her having to support him, or her having to do something here that exhausts her. Okay, but he's not seeing it in this way. And it's not because he's selfishly blinded that I'm just going to take because I need the support, so much as it is the way the energy dynamics are happening between this masculine and this feminine is creating a housing around him. And this housing of energy is allowing him to learn himself, okay? Like, really, like, see his fear, learn himself, so he can see what is right or wrong or acceptable or not, or what's going to work in this connection specifically. He doesn't know, because he hasn't been able to have any comparison, like what works and what doesn't. So I feel like she feels sad. I feel like she feels drained. I feel like she feels she's overextending. Okay, and so she's having to focus on her own love of self, her own support. Okay, and so when she does this, she pulls away, and she is sort of doesn't allow herself to get invested in him, which is fine because she's at this point. Okay, but he's seeing this as she's gone colder. She's no longer supportive. He's now needing to sort of heal himself in a way. Of course, we can't heal others, you know, and when we rely on others to do the healing work for us, we are in codependent situations here. But this divine masculine, and not even a but, it's just this divine masculine doesn't have the capacity to heal oneself. And so I feel like what Spirit is coming through is very strong here. This connection has been ongoing for some time. If this is a new connection, the only way that this would resonate, okay, would be if he's been time and time and time again hurt in other connections or just in the past, and he's incapable of showing up here to support himself. And he is, there's a big fat question mark for the divine feminine in regards to why is he doing and being the way he is. Okay, but for the bulk of you guys, I feel like this connection has been ongoing and ongoing and ongoing, where she has been his energetic support, the energy bubble that she's provided to him. And now this bubble of energy dynamics is shifted and changed. And she is free to take her own energy back. Okay, free. And this feels like a removal of his comfort, a removal of the support, a removal of the healing blanket here. Okay, and I don't know that she's not, if she knew, yeah, because there's two messages. If she knew the dynamic in which was actually happening here, why he was in a position where he was, that wasn't to threaten her, to take, or to be selfish, that there was fears here in regards to his capacity to move within a connection in a healthy way, or to take action, and to, like, if he were to open up his mind and show her what his vision of what he wanted to create, the magic that he felt in this connection. Okay, but his lack of healing or understanding of self, despite the love, I think she would engage differently or soften enough. And here, okay, she is not getting it or understanding, because all she has experienced is an energy of someone who is incapable of supporting self and taking her energy, in which she was actively involved with here. But I do feel like in these types of journeys, because I do feel I'm reading for a twin flame, she wasn't really provided a choice so much as it was a soul contract of being the housing energy here. Okay, so I hope this is making sense. I know it's very deep. Trust. So yes, this message is one to provide healing and trust to each other in regards to what's happening in this connection, so that we don't drift further apart or create more friction regarding the fears, because both have fears. So they're having to learn to trust this process, but also trust each other, that the motivation and the drivers that each of them have are not to create conflict with one another. It's like a self-guarding sort of energy that comes through as a healing coping mechanism, both of them. So what she's doing now is sort of what he's doing. In her own language, she appears to go cold towards him, but all she's doing is sort of reining back her energy, because she can't, and she has to fill her own cup, because when we overextend ourselves, we run out of energy. So she's filling her own cup here. He's feeling the coldness or the lack of support in the energy field, but both could soften if they trusted the process and understood what was actually happening here was a driver of fears, not a driver of intention, because she thinks he was intending to, run with her energy and do something here, which is not true. And he thinks that she is boxing him out because she doesn't, I don't know, she's like choosing this thing, because she's just fed up. And somehow, in some way she is, but she's fed up with the thought of what she's seeing him as. Is very layered here, very much so. Okay, so let's see, Spirit, what is this collective message for the divine counterparts? I feel there's one more. Alrighty. I feel like I'm catching a cold. Clean it up. 21. Message in a bottle. 15. Deep knowing, 43. Flexible, 19. Time to go and TikTok. Okay. All right. So this message from Spirit is talking about the healing in regards to when we actually go a little deeper than the surface of what's happening in the fear. When the fear is active, it's difficult to see beyond the fear, and we just see the action that happened, what they said and what they did, and we can say those are facts. And so I'm going to stick to facts only. This is not a logical situation here. Yes, there are actions that took place. People say and do certain things, and so Spirit is saying beyond the fear, beyond the action we saw, there's a deeper meaning, okay, that runs very, very deep. If we understand that this is a deep soul bond here that transcends past action and transcends past what has happened, what he said, she says. Okay, this is in order to remove any sort of past fears, baggage, experiences, challenges, any history that these two could even have that might be getting in the way of them coming together cleanly. So what's happening here is purposeful to bring up these fears so that at some point when the question gets asked, what is actually behind this action of mine or this action of theirs or this fear of mine, or could this fear of theirs be a capacity in which their healing limit is reached in some way? It's all to clean up beliefs. It's all to clean up distortions. It's all to clean up disabilities, limitations, hesitations, projections, and anything that's getting in the way of smooth sailing here, okay? Because I do feel like there's an opportunity for these two to communicate their truth. But if each other were to communicate their truths without understanding this concept, there would be still friction. It's like, I can't talk to this person. This person doesn't understand what I'm feeling or thinking or how they're impacting me. No, they don't. No, they don't. And neither do you, you know? So what Spirit is talking about is like this deep knowing has to extend and understand the position in which we all sort of sit. Okay, now this fine balance and this flexible is because you're here. Okay, which tells me you're probably more aware of this connection. You're more in a position to be the flexible, healed energy that can do something consciously about this dynamic. Okay, so 19 is the sun. For me, that's all about enlightenment and consciousness. When we're conscious, this means I now know that I've been reacting from fear, or I've been reacting from an understanding that might not necessarily be the truth. Even if the facts are there, they did this, they said that, okay, but we're just looking at the surface. Now there's devil here, the fears. I have to see beyond this person's ego or beyond my own ego, the fear that's casted here, okay, and not allow the emotions with the moon energy that pulls through here, like cloud my real understanding of what's going on here. Okay, so time to go and TikTok. I feel like there is a withdrawal of energy. So this could be like a separation. This could be a panic to run, a panic to stop talking, a panic to pull one's energy away. And to like support one's own energy. Because again, like if I'm open with my energy, then I could potentially be drained of my energy in some way. And she could be, for sure, because he is not in a position to understand how to engage in a way that doesn't create friction and distortions here. So this divine lesson with this TikTok here. I feel like there are lessons happening. Everything's happening as it should be happening in a way that should be unfolding, so that both sides can learn and see themselves beyond the moon. Okay, and so the only way to understand beyond our own moon is to experience beyond our moon. We can't prevent, we can't prevent disappointments, or we can't prevent certain things from happening if they're intended for us to see greater truths. And I feel like there's an experience that's happening in order for both parties to see a greater truth about how they engage with fears, how they see other when the fear kicks up, or when the emotion clouds the understanding. And so I think there's a reacting, a responding in an immediate way that might not necessarily be in line with what we truly want. So it's like, if I truly want a vision of the connection and a coming together, do I push out the person that I want? No. But I do push out the person I want when the person that I want is creating suffering. Okay. But when I see that other person is creating suffering, then they are for me. But if I see the other person in a way that doesn't create suffering, then I can align with this person. And so this is very layered, like I say, and I'm not saying that this person isn't creating all sorts of challenges. Okay, because I do feel like both sides are being challenged by the other, but both can say it truly. Both can say they feel challenged by the other. And we could say, well, how could the person that has been sort of taking, or that I've been, there, feel challenged? It's like they feel challenged when the fear comes in of the abandonment of, now I'm sort of standing on my own, and feeling like there is my support removed, or this dream that's just sort of taken away. Okay, but again, this is devilly energy, because this person could have an unhealthy way of engagement with connection, thinking that, the only way to engage is in an unhealthy way. And so it's like, yeah, we were engaged in a way, although they didn't see it as unhealthy because it's the only way they knew. And now all of a sudden it flips on them. So it's like flipping, it's just flipping here. And she's rightfully so flipping in some way. Okay. But I don't know. There seems to be a need for some sort of deeper understanding here, so that they both, because I feel they both have the vision of wanting to come together. They're both being called to trust in the other and themselves and how to handle this. They're both not wanting to experience suffering. Who wants to drive out of fear? Nobody. They're both on this divine lesson. Okay, but only one person's here, and only one person can see beyond the illusion here, and only one person can sort of tweak the energy. So there's a conscious choice here to be made, okay? But I do feel she feels maybe more free than she has in a while here, in order to choose differently. And she might say, yay, I could choose differently. Let me, like push him out or something like this. Passion. Spirit, what is this collective message? What is this message for the collective? Passion with the sacral chakra. What is this collective message that's coming through? Expansion. What is the collective message coming through here regarding this energy that I'm tapped into? Acceptance. Perception. Vanity. And one more. Complacency. Okay. So in the center here, we have the heart chakra. Okay, heart chakra is unconditional love. This is perception. This story in this book is very interesting here, because it's like she goes full circle in some way, she's seeing, I should read this, because this is a message that's coming through for someone. Hold on. She's going through the gates, and she has to go through the darkness. Perception. All right. So it says, emerald stone. The heart knows what the eyes cannot see. Exactly. So the eyes are seeing the facts. Like I said, what he said, what he did, those are true. I'm seeing them, but there's something beneath it. Okay, beneath it. So the legend, a young princess wanders into her untended garden. She claws through the decaying undergrowth. She finds a brilliant emerald stone. The stone speaks and tells the princess to open an old wooden door. She enters a dark corridor and the door slams shut. Afraid, she moves forward until her hand falls upon another door. It opens to reveal the same garden she left behind. Only now it is beautiful, filled with flowers, butterflies, and birds. It is magnificent and familiar. Inspiration. Often our journey brings us full circle, leaving us to wonder why things happen. Emerald Stone teaches us to follow through on whatever is before us. Going back is not an option. Personal inquiry. What in my life needs tending? How good will I allow myself to feel? Clean it up. Okay, key ideas. Transformation in the heart. Change in perception. The unknown. Promise of a richer experience. Keywords: beauty, open-heartedness, and appreciation. So they're both due to experience greatness here because they're both wanting. Okay, but there needs to be a shift in perception. Now, vanity gives me the ego, and it's right beside this heart chakra and this perception. If she lets the moon, the devil energy, guide her action, she gets a different sort of outcome here. And I feel like there's major disappointments that are experienced that don't need to happen. Okay, because I feel like this is a known cycle or a known experience for both of these people. It's like we're creating our own reality. And so she, like I said, for a lot of you guys, because there's history between these two, she's already anticipating that she understands him. Okay, this is her perception, by the way, because it has been her experience, but it's her experience, but it's how she's seeing that experience that's in question here, because she's seeing the facts, her seeing how he's acting, doing, saying, okay, in one way, and then she's attributing what it means. And what it means is actually something different. This means his capacity, his inability to learn healthy, how to engage here, is being exposed, being shown by the moonlight to him. Okay, and so as a result, he acts in certain ways. And so I feel like she could internalize this and then become very disappointed here. Okay, so what do we always say about opening our heart space? Is talking about acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean I'm going to allow someone to do anything to me that creates my suffering, or that I need to overgive or drain myself or step over my own boundary or sell myself short. What acceptance means is I come from an understanding of what is. I now see beyond my perception. My heart is open enough to accept what is without distorting it, without putting my own mirror of fear, my own mirror of what I think it should be and what it is. So I can accept the situation, meaning I could accept this person with my heart the way it is without ascribing anything of what I'm projecting onto this person in the situation. This connection is called to expand here, okay? There's a cycle that is either playing out, or I don't know, either they're in a period of separation or coming into a no contact or coming out of a no contact. There's a need there to be growth here. This connection has promise of growth. There is passion, there is desire, there is a desire from both sides to come together here. Okay, but I feel that there is a need for there to be conscious awareness into how we're seeing other here. So let's pull the tarot, and then we'll pull some of these essential oil oracles. But let's see. Spirit, strength, and reverse. So this definitely could be a need to face the fear, that moon, that we're just sort of running with the fear as it comes. Okay, but remember how I said there's an ego getting in the way. So the ego needs to be seen through in order for there to be healthy understanding. When the clearer understanding happens, these two can work beyond their challenge. Okay, so we have Leo. Spirit, what is the message for the collective here regarding this connection? Yeah, 3 swords with the sorrow. So when we experience pain and suffering, okay, and like I said, for a lot of this connection, it's between each other, there's been suffering, but outside of this connection, there could have been poor experiences that left us feeling 3 swords. And this is all we know. And because this is all I experienced and know, I don't want to feel this way. And so I only know how to react. That is acting out of my fears. My darkest fears is the pain that I experience. There's nothing like a 3 swords feeling of hurt. And so this drives all of my action, whether others see my action as cowardly, whether others see my action as bad, whether others see my action as you're doing it to hurt me on purpose, uncaring. It's like, no, I'm acting this way because I haven't been yet able to confront my fears. I haven't had the courage or the strength, or my ego was getting in the way of me truly looking at what I needed to look at. And therefore I keep creating suffering for myself, for other. I haven't dealt with the 3 swords. Okay, so, and I think this is both sides. I really do, because both sides are suffering, you know. If they're suffering here, then that means the moon is still in play on both sides. Impossible to experience suffering if our heart is open to love. If our heart sees acceptance and other as having their own sort of set of fears and experiences, then we don't internalize it. We don't feel separate. We don't feel abandoned. We don't feel hurt. And that's the whole point. Is like, why do I feel hurt? Why do I feel sad? Why do I feel, again, some feeling here, or the need to remove myself, or feel drained, or feel however I feel? Now, we have the rights to feel how we feel. It doesn't mean don't feel how you feel. It means conscious awareness as to why I feel the way I'm feeling, what actually really did happen here, and not from my perceived experience, but from what is happening here from this person's sort of lens. Okay, because I do feel this person's acting some sort of way, and the driver here is the sorrow they've experienced. And of course, we can say, well, I experienced sorrow too. And it's like, okay, so what is that ego? So my hurts trump your hurts, and now let's just keep this hurt story going, you know? And it's up to us if we want to do that, for sure. And so there, as she navigates through the dark corridor, there's a trust here, right? Because it's like, am I a fool to just like buy that sort of story here and then engage or accept something that the ego won't let me accept? Because I'd rather push up against it or cause friction or challenge this other person here, but then we're not trusting. Okay, the eyes are closed. There's something about listening to the intuition. So if we resonate with this reading, it's like the intuition is saying in the heart is the answer. If this connection is divine, if there's a wish here, okay, that feels very strong, very fated, very divine. This is a healing connection. It's calling us to trust, to walk in that corridor. Of course, I'm reading it as though you're the one here that's, well, yeah, you are the one here that's being called for a greater awareness of heart, acceptance of other, or despite our experience. Okay, it takes big girl, big boy energy to do this. Why me? Why not them? I've been the overflower. You know, well, no, we're not asking for overflowing. We're not asking for any of this stuff. Sometimes the bigger energy is just being able to fill our own cup enough to be stable and be balanced, to say yes, no, and not remove and not run and not to be challenged. Okay, that takes big energy. 9 of Wands, yeah. So this is the card of the wounded warrior, okay, that has to endure and is in the middle of a battle, but it could be very, very defensive because he's been hurt. So this is resilience here, and it's in reverse. So if the resilience is in reverse, it could mean that I give up. And so we could be feeling, I just want to give up now. I'm really, really hurt. And it's like, okay, so now we have a perception of something. Okay, we experience the pain, but the pain intensifies under the understanding of what it means. Or we could be retreating as a way to defend ourselves when Spirit is saying there is no need to defend oneself. Are we creating boundaries, and what are these boundaries created on when it comes to our perception of why they need to be there? Okay, so you could play that back. If we're feeling guarded, or I got to box this person out, or I got to create this protection around my heart, there's an understanding we're carrying about this. So let's create conscious boundaries or conscious understanding of what the truth is happening here. Okay, Princess of Swords, curiosity. So this is the Page of Swords in reverse. So I feel like somebody is acting from a place of not really truly understanding or seeing. Okay, so she is now walking through the dark corridor, but she's not trusting, and so now she's acting in a certain way that might be either completely using the escape route as the boundary. I'm not talking to you, or I'm shutting you out, or I'm blocking you in some way, or there's words that could certainly create more confusion here if somebody feels very hurt and drained by a situation. Okay, Spirit, what's going on here with the collective message? Eight of Wands, movement twice we got here. Now this movement is in reverse. Okay, Eight of Wands in reverse. Some of you guys could definitely be at a distance here from each other. And we have Five of Cups and disappointment. So again, right on top of this complacency, you know, looking back, didn't work. It's not working. I'm looking at the things that are not working. Unconscious sadness here based on fears and understandings. That's exactly what Spirit is showing. So we could be saying, well, they haven't moved in the right direction or come to me correctly, or they're not saying anything, or they're not doing or saying the thing. Now I'm sad. Now I'm disappointed. Now that's the truth. The truth is that they haven't done and said, and that's what I know. It's like, yeah, perception based on hurts, not acceptance, and based on defensiveness, and based on some form of shadowy moon that's speaking in the corridor of the shadow. So is it going to make the star happen, or is it going to make us be right about our own perceptions? What is this action going to create? Harmony or disharmony? And so this is why we're being shown this, so we could clean this up. This pattern of way of being, not for them, but for ourselves, because now this is a big step in consciousness. I see my way, because this is very human. Okay, there's nothing wrong with this so much. And it's not about wrongs or rights. This is about consciousness, so that other doesn't drive my action based on my feels, based on my experiences of the past, based on hurts. And now I'm reacting in a certain way because I fear what might happen. I fear what has happened. I project what could happen. And I'm anticipating this, and now I'm acting in line with that, rather than what's in the right here, right now. In the right here, right now, you're safe. Okay, but definitely both sides are suffering here. So let's see. Spirit, what are we missing here for the collective regarding this message? Four of Wands. So yes, I did feel I was reading for twin flames. This is all about coming together, okay, to lay the groundwork here. Masculine, feminine union, stability, commitment. This is celebration. Okay, marriage. It's a milestone in this connection. It's an ability to clean up distortion so we can build what we need to build here and come into union. Otherwise, when I remove myself, how does that come closer to union? It doesn't. We might think, well, I'm creating the environment for that person to see. It's like, no, we don't need to do anything that the divine does. The divine has it handled. We don't need to create circumstances, situations that are more distorted or suffering. Okay. Four of Swords with rest. So Four of Swords comes after the Three Swords, but I also feel like there's a period of, like I said, like no contact, or we're stopped talking to each other, or like I haven't heard from this person. Now I'm feeling hurt by it. But there's a need to stabilize one's energy. So I'm really feeling like self-mastery over one's emotions. Okay, both of these fours are all about getting stable, getting grounded. Okay, laying the foundation. And I feel like this is the foundation for future of this connection. The groundwork here, the planning work is being laid out. But if the mind is distorted and in the way, if the mind cannot see outside of itself because it reacts, and it keeps seeing the same perceived understanding, it can't get beyond this sort of experience, then we haven't learned the lesson or seen the thing we were being asked to see. Because I do feel there's something very divine that we're being asked to see here, okay? King of Pentacles with power. So both these cards can talk about commitments. This is one of the more committed kings here that creates a long-standing future. So yeah, I feel like the Divine Masculine does have a vision of creating something here, but he doesn't know how to go about it. Again, I'm seeing like distance again. So a lot of you guys could be at a long distance with the world here, or a need for him to create some form of travel towards her or this connection. And maybe he just isn't in a position to understand what that looks like, or the capacity to do so. Okay. Nine of Pentacles with culmination. So this is self-confidence. And this is the ability for one to stand in one's own power, make one available to engage from a place of fulfillment. And the Three of Pentacles work. And it is in reverse. So this is the card of collaborating, working together, and creating the stability in a dynamic. By working together, that's that temperance energy I was telling you guys, coming together to create something in the 3D. Okay, so now the freedom is coming through as this 9 Pentacle, because this could be the single card, you know, freedom to do it alone. I don't know how to work with other. This could definitely be someone who wants commitment, who wants a future, who wants stability, who is healing from some pain, who only understands what they understand to their capacity, just as you only understand what you understand. But when we're conscious, we push beyond what we understand so we could see beyond it. Okay? And see, our emotions don't have to be driven by that understanding or perception that we have, because there's so many different perceptions we could see the situation from. However, this masculine is very much under the understanding of how he operates on his own. And he thinks that to be confident, free, independent, sovereign, and available in some capacity here to this connection comes from a 9 Pentacle type energy. And she is seeing this as rejecting of her offering. He's not collaborative. He's not wanting to work and build with her in a way that she understands as collaborative. Meanwhile, they both want to build. He is in an energy that could be committable or reliable, but the only way he shows up is a 9 Pentacle. So again, speaking two different languages. I'm coming as a 9 Pentacle. What's the problem here? I want you what you want here. And she's like, I wanted a 3 Pentacle and it's not happening. And now therefore I'm going to run with an idea that he's this and he's that and he wants all sorts of things. It's like, does he though? Does he though? I don't think so, but that's all he knows. Okay, so let's see. What's the guidance then and advice? And then we'll get the essential oracles after this. What's the guidance and advice here? Why this collective reading? What does the collective need to know about this dynamic then? I think the collective wants to prevent heartbreak, wants to prevent disappointment, wants to bring something to the conscious awareness of repeat pattern of understanding we may have that gets in the way of two people coming together. That's exactly how this is coming through, okay? But let's see, Spirit, what does the collective need to know? Why this message then? So we have the Four of Cups. Despondency, okay, we were seeing complacency, same type of sort of energy here. It's like feeling rejected, feeling like other doesn't want to work with me. And look, there's 2 cups here in the middle. Okay. And then there's the two people that need to come together. Like I said, with that balance, it's like how one shows up and how the other, but both right now are not working. It's not that one person is doing something off and the other one is right. Neither are doing something to come together. So the two cups aren't coming together here, and both are feeling rejected by each other. Because imagine if you were this divine masculine thinking that I knew something and that I am being reliable, or that I am wanting to provide some level here of commitment, because I do see the vision. I do have this intention, but my capacity is just that of standing sort of by pushing someone out because of the energy that I'm giving off, that it's about me and my independence and my, and maybe it's like him trying to build himself and his practical world in a way here that allows him to be confident enough to create something here. And she's seeing this as, well, you're just rejecting me and you're sort of self-contained or self-focused here. It feels like rejection. Ace of Cups in reverse. So a new beginning in love that could be blocked. Okay, because we're needing to connect to our own cup. And how do we connect to our own cup here? The Devil in reverse, Capricorn energy. Again, the unhealthy ways of how we're seeing situation or circumstance needs to come back to our own self, our own energy of how we're engaged with our own cup. This is all about our own patterns, our own way of loving. Nothing to do with this person, because I think that the other person, I do feel I'm speaking to divine feminine, the other person, divine masculine, the one who's showing up like this. There's nothing we can do about this. It's going to come when he sees the mirror, okay, of whatever she holds up. And she could hold up a mirror of resentments, anger, despondency, 4 cups, rejection, and all sorts of things. And now that's the mirror he sees. Or she could understand her own patterns, her own sufferings, her own lack of connecting to self, and then hold up a different mirror. And the different mirror she's going to hold up here could be all the world of a difference that cleans up some distortion here. Okay, so we have the Tower in reverse. So does it have to be catastrophe? I think that with the Tower right beside this Devil and both in reverse, it's like, I feel there is a breakthrough that needs to happen. That's not happening. Yeah, I really do feel this, and it's with the strength. It's like our greatest fear. Yeah, greatest fear, the darkest fear we have. The greatest fear we have is right now surfacing, and it's requiring us to do something different than how we've always done it, because of patterns and understanding an unhealthy relationship with self, or the way we engage in a relationship here on both sides. And so we keep acting in some certain way, thinking that the more we do that, the more protected we are, the more resilient, or the more it's requiring us to be like this. Meanwhile, it's just upkeeping this unhealthy thing. We have to allow our greater fear to happen if it is going to happen, which it's not. It's just a fear. Okay, because this Tower needs to fall. And we're really fearful of like what might happen here if I do the thing that I'm not wanting to do. And in her case, she might be like, okay, I'm just going to put the boundary or to run in some way here, rather than what's the greater fear? To open up her heart space and see beyond this and be like, no, because then he's just using me or abusing me or whatever. But it's like, well, how does she then keep her heart open and engage here in a balanced way, rather than respond and react the way she's reacting? She has to question this. Okay, now she doesn't have to do anything, but if she's wanting to repair something, if she's wanting to crack through the illusion, I feel like there's a big fear that needs to be cracked through with a breakthrough, not the way we've always done it. Okay, yeah, 10 Pentacle, right on top of this commitment, building the future legacy here, okay? The 5 of Cups in reverse. So we got to get out of that mindset, because she was the one coming through with this disappointment, 5 Cups. It's like, I see exactly what he's doing and saying, or he hasn't come around, or this, and now I'm going to run with that idea and be in the 5 Cups. Meanwhile, 5 Cups is a choice. 5 Cups is a mindset. We don't need to be there. We create more 5 Cup scenarios, okay? 10 of Wands, that's the burden. I'm going to carry around that 5-cup understanding and keep alive my pain and suffering, and then engage like that's true, and that's what I need to do. And it creates the conflict with the 5 of Wands. So one speaking French, one speaking Chinese, we're not speaking the same energetic language, and therefore we can't see eye to eye, and the heaviness is happening here, so the tower can fall. There's a reason why this is happening. Lots of friction here, okay, but also internal friction here, because I think we're telling ourselves untruths about what the situation actually is, and it's not. Okay, King of Pentacles. Oh my goodness, 2 Kings of Pentacles. So strong Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. So this King of Pentacles is building a solid, reliable, committable future. This is an energy here that is very grounded, very reliable. And so, and the Empress. Wow. Divine Feminine. So Divine Feminine, you might be dealing with a King of Pentacle here, okay? And he might be very, very, very practical. In his world, he only understands one sort of theory of how to confidently support himself in some way. And it goes against what your theory is of 3 Pentacle. And it feels like rejection. It feels like sadness. It feels like he's not building. It feels like he's choosing something other than the Empress here, okay? But Spirit is saying, to be this Empress, we have to learn about the unconditional love, opening the heart space, and she knows what healthy boundaries look like because she's conscious. But this is everything turning out expansive. You had an expansion card, okay? So what's expanding here? Her understanding, her consciousness, this connection, her growth. She is seeing beyond limitations of how she used to see situations. She can expand her consciousness so she could get different results. Okay, because I think she wants different results in this connection, for sure. So let's pull the essential oil cards as guidance here and see. Okay, so we have heavy Taurus, Libra, Virgo, Capricorn energy. Spirit for the collective. What is this message for the collective? What does the collective need to know about this reading as we close out this reading? Juniper berry, projection, exactly, trigger statement. My mind does not rest. That was this 4 of Swords that needed to happen, okay? True statement. I listen to my higher self. What's the high self? The high self is connected to the divine. Okay, well, we're all connected to the divine, but the high self is closer to the divine, closer to truth, is not distorted with devil, is not distorted with pains. The high self is truth. Truth is love. Love is God. All one, all the same. And so the high self is saying, are we loving right now, or are we acting in fear? Okay, do we have projections right now? So look at each story that repeats itself in your mind as a stranger would. Ask yourself, is this true? Essentially, that's the essence of this reading. She could just be reflecting here. He hasn't come around. He hasn't commented in weeks, days. He's stuck. He's creating conflict. He's this and he's that. Projection. What is she? She's stuck in her own pattern of thinking a certain thing. Meanwhile, he's just trying to be confident enough to step forward. He is wanting to build something here. He has a vision. He has hope and desire to work with her. She doesn't see this. Okay, all she's seeing is disappointment. So, anti-aging, spirituality, trigger statement, I am so disconnected. True statement, everything is connected. It will be beneficial for you to spend time in quiet contemplation. You need to reflect within to find the answers you seek. So again, she might be running in the opposite direction. Okay, and this could be definitely what she needs in order for her to reflect and heal this understanding of separation or pain or her perception of this. Okay, but with the spirituality, I feel like this connection is on a very high spiritual vibration of understanding. And if there's too much 3D noise here, devil, ego, what she's seeing and experiencing in form, it gets in the way of the truth of what's going on in the 5D spiritual realms of what is actually she's being called to connect to. This doesn't mean let's see beyond all the 3D all the time and just be like, oh, no, only the 5D matters. Of course, the 3D is going to matter, but this is about 5D lessons and understanding them so we could break 3D patterns of projection, 3D patterns that hurt us, that create despondency and 3 swords and fights, arguments, conflict, a lack of trust in other. That's not loving. Okay, that's fear that takes the wheel. And we don't want to be in fear. We want to be in a state of consciousness and awareness. Okay, DNA repairing. Oh my goodness, look at that. Transmutation. Exactly. So this is what we're doing. We're transmuting the devilly energy, the shadow, the ego. Trigger statement. I don't know who I am. True statement. I am. There is no efforting required for this shift. Be present and allow every aspect of your being to transform. So again, she doesn't have to be a doer to create anything. She doesn't have to create boundaries, defensiveness, guardedness, say this or say that. So let's say all of a sudden she's her and she's like, if I don't honor myself and tell them how I'm feeling, it's like, but are we honoring an ego? Have we transmuted what we were needing? We got to go right to the root, okay, with this DNA repair. I think this is why this experience is happening between these two spiritually, for her to identify her projections and for her to transmute this way of understanding and being and repair this once and for all. Okay, before they can work together and come together. Clary Sage, insight, trigger statements. There is no hope. True statement. There is a higher purpose. Connect with your higher self. Twice we got this, okay? Connect with your higher self and allow to be guided to your higher purpose. As the veil of illusions fall away, you will find your answer. Again, answer seeking. She wants to know or understand. Why is he doing this? Or why is this happening? A deeper knowing. Okay, and so her higher self already knows the answer here. She's going to be shown this insight that it sits in the heart. The truth sits in the heart. Okay, I feel there's one more here. For the collective, what is this message for the collective? All right, and this one's sliding off. All right, so we have massage. Ease, trigger statement. I have to make this work. True statement. I am at ease with life. You need to ease your grip on life so that it can lead the way. There is an outcome brighter than you can imagine. Exactly. She's the one getting in her own way here. Okay, of course he's getting in his own way, but he's unconscious or he's acting in a certain way that he has the capacity. She has greater capacity to move beyond. Okay, but she doesn't have to do anything. Just be in the present moment and observe herself, observe her devil, observe her ego, observe her thoughts and her limitations so she can transmute this understanding on a deeper DNA level, okay? Magnolia, amplify, trigger statements. I can't get anything right. True statement, I am in divine time. Oh my goodness, exactly. I am in divine time. So harness your loving energy and watch as one miracle unfolds after another. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. And then we have petite grain, independence. So we saw the freedom energy here and the 9 pentacle. Trigger statement. I am just like my mother, father. Okay. True statement. I am free to choose. Yes, when we're conscious, we're free to choose. We're not acting from the devilly, shadowy 3 swords, okay, at all. And I feel like there's mother-father wounds on both sides here. And this could be not in this lifetime, but it could just be ingrained generational because we saw the DNA. Okay, it's human nature to sort of react and respond and see other as separate and then try to uphold our own position and beliefs. Out there's a threat to me and all of this stuff. Okay, that's we need to transmute that collectively. That's sort of an energy. Okay, that's creating division, that's creating duality, that's creating suffering here, and we don't need to have any of this stuff. Okay, so you're free to choose only when you're conscious to see different choice. We can still choose to remove, we can still choose to have boundary, we can still choose to say whatever we want to say in truth, but our actions will be completely different. The way we say it, the way we go about it, when we're not reactive, when we can use discernment quietly, when we create space between what we normally would say and do from a wounded place to a place of true awakening. Okay, you are ready to break free. Remember I said the breakthrough has to happen here with the tower and the 8 wands. Okay, you are ready to break free of the conditioning that has bound you, devil, so that you may continue your journey of healing and growth. Beautiful. Absolutely love it. And then to close this out, we have this balance. Okay, lavender. Find balance, balance. Trigger statement. No one understands me. True statement. I ask for what I need. From a place of love, beautiful. Thank you, Spirit. You need to stand up and speak your truth. What you wish for is what the universe wishes for you. Now, I feel like Spirit is keeping this for last. Because when we're unhealed, we think we're speaking a truth. You hurt me. This is what I need. You did this and you did that. That is projection. So we started with projection. This is why we remove the 4 swords. We get centered. We see the greater truth. We have greater levels of consciousness. We connect with the high self. And then we could come back with the truth of what we need to say. But we cannot say we know the truth when we're reacting out of our feeling. Because the feeling here feels 3 swords and 4 cups, rejected. And we're needing to really trust in the higher self. But if we haven't even connected to the high self just yet, when it comes to this situation, we might think we're saying truths, but all we're doing is reinforcing a 5 wand conflict. Okay, like truly. So there's a need to balance this, if you want to call this an argument, this connection. And so the conscious person can find the balance within self, can choose to not respond in a way that's reactive and choose to respond in a way that has already seen a greater truth beyond the projection from a place of love, and then speaking the truth here, understanding that this other person is in a place of limited capacity based on their own understanding. Of course, nobody is limited, but the fears limit us. Our capacity to show up is limited when we have greater fear. We react in certain ways that might be habitual when we have trauma, when we have certain experiences, and that's all we know. Okay, but she's being called to hold up this mirror because I feel these two are being called for union. I feel these two are being called for a greater purpose here, divine purpose, okay? And even though he might be carrying this and isn't as conscious, it's like she'll hold this mirror and he can work out whatever he needs to work out here. But if she keeps projecting, if she keeps creating whatever she creates here, will he see? Or will they completely be frictioned, not healing the thing that they were called to heal? Because in these sorts of journeys, spiritual journeys, okay, you could call it twin flame, you could call it whatever you want, higher level, soulmate, whatever you want to call it. Although I'm calling this twin flame because this is exactly how a twin flame mirroring will work. There's a need to transmute and repair on a deep, deep level. That is what's been running the show here, okay? And so these twin flames are like doing collective healing, collective cleaning of the transmutation of distorted energies that don't need to be here anymore. Okay? Wow. Crazy. I hope this helped you guys. I love you guys very much. Sorry, my readings have been pretty spontaneous, random. Hopefully there's more consistency once I go into the new year a little more rested here, okay? Beautiful angel, thank you so much for joining me. I love you guys so much, and I hope this helped you, and I'll see you at the next one. All right, bye-bye.